Greetings and welcome to LGR Thrifts, episode 10. And yeah, it's already to episode 10, which is insane. It seems like I just started doing this. But, time is weird and relative anyway, and it flies when you're having fun looking at old crap in random stores. And good stuff too, on occasion, and that is why I'm doing this at all. Just a quick thank you to everyone who's been supporting this new show and LGR in general, whether it's on Patreon or through commenting or emails or sending pictures. Response has been awesome. And as a result, I wanted to do something a little bit special with this episode today. Today I'm going to be going and visiting the thrift stores and some other shops in the Winston-Salem, Greensboro area of North Carolina, which is where I grew up. Yeah, lots of nostalgia on my part, and who knows, maybe just some other kind of random nostalgia too as we find some interesting things, hopefully. So, without further ado, let's go thrifting. First stop today is a store I've heard a lot about in the city of Greensboro, known as Lost Ark. This is a video game store right next to a tattoo parlor that also happens to have a bunch of pinball and arcade games in the back. You pay to get into the arcade area, but the retail store is free to browse. And I gotta say, I am really impressed with the selection of stuff they have here. Thousands of games, dozens of consoles, lots of them in box, figures and figurines. Is there a difference? I don't know, but I like saying both words one after the other. A ton of stuff in here that you just don't normally see in these kind of shops. At least not around where I live, you don't see this stuff. Most of the pricing is pretty average, I guess, for what you would expect. You can tell that they look up the current trends as far as pricing and everything and price their stuff accordingly, but it's not marked up terribly so like some other stores that I've visited on this show. Not just North American games, they have quite a few imports as well. Some really interesting titles from Japan and Europe and whatnot in here. A lot of stuff that I would love to have, but that's not why I'm here. I just wanted to check out this store and maybe find one or two things of interest. And I did find some stuff over in the PlayStation section because, this stuff is pretty cheap right now, and a lot of the things that I'm after, they're just not expensive. And everything here is supposedly tested and working, and if not, you can always return it, so that's good. It's better than eBay in that regard. So, I ended up grabbing Lost Ark's video game sticker because it was free. Resident Evil Director's Cut. It is the single CD case version, not the one with like the double multi-thing. I hate those. Lode Runner, the 2-in-1 Lode Runner collection. Shadow Master, love this on the PC. And Urban Chaos, another one I really enjoyed on the PC, and now they're for the PS1. Next up is a stop by the Salvation Army Family Store. I'm not a family, but I can still shop here apparently, so that's nice of them. This one's a lot larger than the Salvation Army that I have near me, but it's the same kind of typical selection of really random stuff. A lot of furniture. They carry more furniture in these stores than they do at Goodwill, but I'm here for stuff like this. There's a boxed PS2 in here for, I think it was like $60, as well as a selection of bread. There's bread here. Bread. Not much as far as the loose CD-ROMs in here, one or two PC games, nothing I didn't already have. Over in the electronics, again, pretty typical stuff, but then I happened to run across this box that I instantly recognized. This is a Microsoft Sidewinder joystick. This is actually the Force Feedback Pro, the one that I drooled the most over in the late 90s. This is a really sweet joystick, well, for the time, and the rubber around the base of the stick looks to be in great shape. The whole thing's in great shape. Comes with the games and manuals. This is just awesome. They were asking just $8 for this thing, and double nostalgia, this actually was sold from CompUSA here in Greensboro. And back in 1999, this is the exact same store that I drooled over these joysticks at. This could be one of the exact boxes that I saw and drooled over. That just is so freaking cool to me, I can't even describe it. Also pretty freaking cool, over at the Coffee Makers, I happened to find a DualShock controller for the PS1. I didn't have one of these, I only have PS2 and onward. So for $1, that's cool. And then in these tubs full of random cords and stuff, well, there you go. This is what you want to see. When you're out places like this, just a lonely box with an NES sticking out. There could be anything in here. You never know what kind of stuff you'll find in a box like this. This is so exciting. But all that was in here, though, was an NES, complete, with a cleaning kit in the box, NES Advantage, and a few games. Ultima Exodus, The Immortal, Xanadu, or however you say it, and The Battle of Olympus. All games that I already own, so I passed on this. Even though it was only $35, not a bad deal. I just let some other people in the area know that it was here, and maybe one of them could go get it. Hey, there's some Goodwills around here too. Of course, they're everywhere. So let's go ahead on inside and see what you got. Well, it's a Goodwill. Although this one has some nicely colored walls. That's a nice touch. Pretty lackluster media section, although everything is very neatly labeled. And an assortment of electronics that aren't very interesting. Oh, here's another one of these. Frickin' wheel riders from IBM. I cannot get away from them recently, and I also can't resist their clicky keys. But around to the side of the building, there's another little place called the Computer Junction. Now this is more my style. You got monitors and computers and cables, drives, laptops, printers, printer cartridges, I mean a ton of stuff for your computing needs, as well as some gaming stuff in here. There is a PS1 console, not the PlayStation 1, the PS1. 20 or 30 bucks is a little bit much for me though, and most of the computer stuff is far too new and bland for my taste. The oldest stuff in here were these speakers that undoubtedly came from far cooler old systems than anything that was actually on sale here, which is unfortunate. Next stop is another Goodwill. This one's quite nostalgic for me. This is the Goodwill just off of Main Street, Kernersville, and I only used to live a couple miles away from this as a kid. Inside, yeah, it's a Goodwill. It looks like a Goodwill, smells like a Goodwill, it's a Goodwill. The wills are good. Same old frickin' board games and puzzles that you see everywhere. Nothing PC related in here today. I found one lonely PS1 game over in the CDs, Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness, but of course the disc is gone. Over in the DVDs, though, I found the Stronghold collection for PC. This is pretty cool. It has all the Stronghold games, or, well, the first however many, on one disc. Scooching past the microwaves and electric blankets, we go over to the TVs and see that they are all terrible. And below a shelf of old candles and Netgear routers, I happen to find a PS1 multi-tap. And hey, it's got a memory card. Double prizes, and for $1, not bad at all. Another nostalgic Goodwill, and man, this one is legendary in my mind still, not just for these blue panes of glass surrounding the whole building, but just what I used to find in this store as a kid in the 90s. It was a totally different place then. I mean, it was the same basic building, yeah, but they keep expanding it and stuff like that. And obviously the selection was quite different, although if you go around the corner here, you can still see some old TVs, a couple that were actually pretty interesting as far as the connections and stuff. I don't know, for my purposes, whatever. It probably doesn't matter to anyone else. I like CRTs with component cables, okay? They did have a selection of computers, Jitoken stuff from Dell because of their partnership. It was a big store. There was a ton of shelves full of just random electronics, mostly junk. I mean, of course, right? And another IBM wheel rider down there, but yeah, mostly junk. This place gets a lot of foot traffic, so it gets picked clean like daily. A really well organized selection of books and CDs and stuff now. I mean, everything is separated by genre. This is new and is really cool. A few games in here, just sports stuff, yeah. Although, oh my goodness, Mary-Kate and Ashley, Magical Mystery Mall, and it doesn't have the CD. No, I wanted to cover this. But yeah, this is why I come here. Over in this corner, there's this specific window with this specific vent overhead and this very specific set of piping. Along this back wall back in the 90s, there used to be the most awesome selection of DOS computers just hanging out here for like no money at all. Packard Bells and Gateways just laying out. This place was so cool. I used to play with these, and right around here you would turn around where all these shoes are, and there used to be shelves just full of PC software as well. And oh man, I remember specifically seeing the early printing of SimCity with the radio box and the tornado on front, and just being like, what? Because my version of SimCity was SimCity Classic, and man, there was just so much cool stuff here, and unfortunately I was never able to get any of it because I was a kid with no money, but coming back here makes me wish that I could just time travel back to the 90s and thrift. Moving on to one more Goodwill, and this is another pretty large store. It has an outlet center, the clearance area, as well as a retail store. Holy crap, J.J. Abrams. Inside, it's a little different looking here. Not much though. Some really cool stuff in the auction case over here. A lot of Atari 2600 games, that's pretty cool to see, but these are all auctioned off and they go for way too much. TVs, stereo systems, VCRs, cassette decks, and a pretty good little selection of computers. This area actually reminds me of one of the Goodwills near here that used to do a setup like this. Those computers at the top are all like $10 each, so you get the case, the motherboard, maybe the power supply, but there's no hard drive or RAM. Very good for little project PCs, and then below here you have the computer parts bins, and these are just full of whatever kind of parts that you could want really, unless you're me and you're looking for like old PCI, maybe early AGP stuff and ISA slot cards and things like that. They're just not really in here. There's still some good cards in here, just nothing I'm interested in. Over in the CDs, I found a game you don't see very often, Bugdom for the PC. Been wanting to try this out actually, and well, here we go. Also found the God of War clone Ghost Rider for the PS2, and Minority Report. Normally I don't care about movie licensed games, but I like this movie, so I'm curious about the game. And lastly, just walking across the way here to the outlet store, and man, this one is pretty freaking massive. A lot of junk. So much junk. Junky junk. Most of it covered in excess human residue, so grab your golf club and start tossing things aside, because there's gold in them thar junk piles. Sometimes. Other times there's just like one of these Fisher-Price righty thingies. I don't know what it's called, but you can put your name in it and magnets and yeah, that stuff. It's cool, because it amused me for all of 5 seconds. Want some Bible character trading cards? Nothing like reducing religious icons to generic kids things. Capitalism. Hey, Power Rangers. What else? It's the episode Food Fight on VHS. I don't care about VHS normally, but this is such a ridiculous episode, I had to get it. Also found a loose PC game. Well, it was an empty box PC game. The Tycoon Collection. I would have gotten this, but yeah, there's nothing inside. There's a laptop here. A Toshiba Satellite Pro of some kind in insanely good shape. It was hard to pass on this, but I've already got a couple and this was missing like the power supply, hard drive, and RAM, so Oh, what is this? Wood grain? It's a phone and a radio by Unitech. Clock, radio, telephone. Because you don't have room for both, I guess. I love wood grain stuff. There's wood everywhere on this, and none of it is real. It's so ugly, I love it. Over in the luggage, I found a Louis Vuitton bag. I don't know anything about these except that they're pretty expensive. And as many people as were here that were getting stuff like this and skipped over this, I assumed something was wrong, so I didn't even bother. Hey, an AARP calculator. No significance to that, but it gave me an excuse to be entertained for another 5 seconds. And lastly, I ran across an unassuming box of floppy disks, 3.5-inch disks, whatever, I run across these all the time, but inside was this one penny, as well as a red disc, Disc B, A Woman's Guide to Ghost Slaying. Okay, so I took it home, and this was actually what was on the disc. Looks like somebody's fiction writing of some sort. It's not all here, and that's unfortunate, because this is actually like 13 pages of slightly interesting fiction. Shame it's not all here. I'd like to read the rest of it. You gotta wonder how something like this ends up in Goodwill anyway. There's a link in the video description if you'd like to read it. And here is the haul from episode 10 of Thrifts. 8 games, 2 controllers, 1 multi-tap with a memory card attached, 1 Power Rangers VHS episode, and a box of floppies containing random fiction about ghost slaying. Oh yeah, and a penny. Came to about $53 total. Ended up being a bit more because of Resident Evil and Lode Runner, since I paid about average prices for those, but yeah, not a huge haul here or anything. Mostly I just wanted to go to these places because of the nostalgia factor and to go to somewhere different because I was in the area. I am most psyched about that Sidewinder joystick, to be honest, because not only is it a stick that I wanted as a kid and never could afford, but it's from the exact store that I wanted it from. That's just absolutely ridiculous to me and very cool. Maybe I can do a video on it sometime, I don't know. I'd like to feature some of these Microsoft products because they made some really cool controllers back before they did anything with the Xbox or any of that stuff. And once again, you all have been sending me photos from your own thrift store hauls and stuff from garage sales and flea markets and boot sales and whatever else they happen to be in your area. As always, I'm continually blown away by some of the stuff that is still just out there for sale in the wild and for really good prices, presumably. As usual, don't expect to find stuff every single time you go out, because I don't. There were even a couple stores this time around that I didn't show because there was just absolutely nothing of interest at all. It happens. You have to keep going and you have to keep broadening your horizons, which is why I actually went out to some different stores this time, because a lot of the stores in my area right now, it's just sort of that summer drought. This time of year, especially in the US, tends to be one of those that there's just not as much to find out thrifting, at least not typically. So yeah, don't give up, keep thrifting and keep watching thrifts if you are not able to, because yeah, I'm gonna keep doing them. 10 episodes, why stop now? And if you enjoyed this one, as I just said, there are 10 of them, so there's 9 more to check out if you have not already, and I do other videos every single week. The normal review is coming this weekend, and there's going to be one other one in between that because I got another opportunity to do another thing. So you can subscribe if you would like to be notified of all this stuff going on, and as always, you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook and Patreon, the latter of which not only supports this show rather directly, but also gives you access to see my episodes before they come out on YouTube. And as always, thank you for watching.